Angelo sent a request to be in your live video. Angelo, why would I do that? We should do that, though. We really should. Get your questions ready, Watch Geeks. I'm getting ready to get in this. I feel like, like how a boxer gets up to the ring and he's like getting stoked? This is how I feel. I feel like I'm ready to fight off your questions. I'm ready to have some sparring, maybe an argument with one of you Watch Geeks. I don't know. Let's get into it. What is up, Watch fam? Happy Wednesday, and welcome to this week's episode of AskTNH Live. We are here on Instagram at Theo and Harris at answering their questions. It could be yours on Theo and Harris on Instagram. So go ahead and give us a follow. All right, quick wristwatch check. I am wearing a beautiful Cartier. This watch is from the 70s. It's actually gold-plated, but the condition is wonderful. My mom gave my dad this watch for Christmas last year. I believe it was, there is a video. Anna's going, video. And there is. Click the link in the description for the video of my dad's unboxing. Cartier is a funny brand, in many ways similar to Rolex in its appeal, right, to the masses. The public appeal. Okay, I should reframe the question. The mass market public appeal of brands like Cartier and Rolex is very much so driven by marketing. Not to say the watches aren't great. There are some incredible vintage watches by Cartier and by Rolex. But there are brands, whose technical, build and everything about them, about their products is better than a Rolex or a Cartier. Whether that be movement finishing or ingenuity in construction, like from Lange & Söhne, or just innovative design. There's so many different aspects of watches that, cumulatively you can say, this is better than a Rolex, or this is better than a Cartier. But one, they are still in and of their own right wonderful watches. And two, they have become so ingrained in what the world sees, as watches. When you think of watches as when you're the world, there are only a few brands that really come to mind, and these are two of them. So my dad, a man who loves watches, but is much more driven by brand. My dad is definitely, when it comes to watches, he's definitely interested in brand and design and what that brand and design means to him. And when it comes to Cartier, my dad grew up, a very poor Spanish dude in Brooklyn. And to own a Cartier was just so out of the realm. One, because of price, and two, because that was like not only the rich man, but the fancy man's watch. Whereas Rolex, you just had to have money. When it came to Cartier, you really need to be refined. Look at the watch. I mean, that's not the watch of a man that takes the subway to work. That's not the watch of a man that is a janitor, like my grandfather, so it was so far, economically and culturally that it was never viewed as a real option. But if you look back at photos of my dad from when he was, dating my mom in the 90s, he was working at Brooks Brothers at the time, and you could definitely tell that he aspired to have a lot of the class and a lot of the taste that, culturally where he grew up that didn't exist. He wore like fake eyeglasses, like they had like the frames, like like Freddie Miles or something, like a Philip Seymour Hoffman douchey white guy character, and the Cartier was always a watch that he wanted. So when this watch came up, when Theo and Harris existed, my mom said, I want that for Dad for Christmas. Get it for me. I'll pay for it, and that's it. So long story short, it's a wonderful brand in what it means to so many people. Quality as well, undeniably. But sometimes the meaning is more, and to me, that's why I love watches. There's tremendous quality, but in so many watches. But the truth is, for me, when I look back at a collection or when I look back at anyone's watch box, I am endlessly interested in what those watches may mean to someone. And that's what drives me in this hobby. So let's answer some of your questions. How do you go about finding collections to review? Good question, Ben's Web. we get emails, if people email, collection review requests, which you guys are more than welcome to go ahead and do. I'll take a look at your collection and I will eventually review it. We have a backlog of a couple hundred reviews, so it's not going to be quick or easy, but it is fun, because people open up. I think it's so interesting. We did a collection review 2 weeks ago, I think a week or 2 weeks ago, and you could put the link in the description. To a guy, obviously a wealthy dude, I think I don't know, he's somewhere in Asia, very wealthy guy. Several Patek and several Audemars Piguet and just several truly tremendous watches. And yet he had a 34 millimeter Air King. The 3940, which to me is probably one of the best watches of all time, certainly one of the, many people view it as one of the last truly great and classic and true Patek, watches. There needs no explanation. There is no explanation. You have one of the most iconic and kind of supreme perpetual calendars in the world for so many reasons. You don't need to explain yourself. But when you have that watch beside a $2,500 Air King, I'm like, why? Why do you have this simple, kind of like quote unquote bullshit steel watch in comparison to that 3940? Now, I would 9 times out of 10 end up with the Air King, 1 because of money restraints and 2 because I genuinely appreciate, classic Rolex design and what Rolex means to the world. But still, those 2 watches almost make 0 sense in the same collection. So anyway, the review is live. The link is in the description. If you kind of want to talk about, not for you guys, it has not been released yet. But if you guys want to see the whole collection and see kind of what it means to this particular watch geek, then check it out. All right, next question. What do you think of Invicta? I don't think about Invicta, very simply. Next question. What do you think about Breitling ditching the B-winged logo? Good question. What do I think about Breitling? First of all, I didn't know that Breitling ditched the B-wing logo. You just told me that. So I did not know this. I don't know how I feel about that. Breitling did not always have the B-wing logo, right? I mean, I'm not saying that's necessarily true. I know in plenty of vintage Breitlings from the 50s and 60s, it was not a B-wing. It was just the script Breitling, which I thought was quite beautiful and refined. But that being said, when someone explained to me why the Breitling B-winged logo existed, I quite liked it. It was the B-wing with the anchor, because Breitling is supreme or conquers or exists or whatever, both in the air. And when flying and diving, Breitling is there. So to me that's great narrative. But I don't. If it's gone, to me, my understanding is that Breitling's logos have changed quite a few times. So at that point, like if Rolex changed their logo, that would be tectonic. It's the Rolex logo. You can't just change it. But a brand that's changed it 1, 2, 3, 4 times doesn't really matter. So my sister and all of her friends are watching this video right now. Oh, they're all together. My family is like disgustingly supportive of my company, even when there were no sales. Net, they were very, very supportive, even at the beginning. So to me, it's hysterical that my sister and her friends are on my live feed right now because they don't care about watches at all. But not that they're looking at it like this. But I'll segue and say that it's not just about watches. Again, bringing it back to home with the Cartier. It's, this channel is not just about watches and movements and all the technical aspects. It really is, in my opinion, so much larger. This channel is about entrepreneurship. This channel, when it comes to, as a whole, this channel is about the deeper meaning of watches, and that's why I love it. That's why this channel is a product of the team cumulative. You know what I mean? Like, this is Anna, this is me, this is Aaron, this is all the people around us, and how we all have a penchant for storytelling. And yeah, I've convinced my family and Anna to like watches because I happen to like watches. But the common thread here is watches as a vehicle for storytelling. So if you dig storytelling and if you want to, hear more about other people's grandpa's watches and what that meant, then subscribe to our channel at Theo and Harris.